something trying to steal my mood. My crazy thoughts trying to kill my groove. That's when I hear a voice whisper through the noise that brings a bigger picture into view. Whenever the clouds come into my mind, I won't forget it's you who tells the sun to shine. Every worry, every night, every second thought about tomorrow's wasting time. You give the sparrows everything they need. You light the stars and you paint the leaves. And you clothe the lilies with your majesty. And you don't even love them like you love me. No, you don't love them like you love me. No, like you love me, like you love me, like you love me, like you love me. Who am I in light of everything that you would choose to set your eyes on me? It blows my mind to think that you would know my name, and I'm adored by the King of Kings. Whenever the clouds come into my mind, I won't forget it's you who tells the sun to shine. Every worry, every night, every second thought about tomorrow's wasting time. Hey, you give the sparrows everything they need. You light the stars and you paint the leaves. And you clothe the lilies with your majesty. And you don't even love them like you love me. No, you don't love them like you love me. No, like you love me, like you love me, like you love me, like you love me. Break it down one time.
Good evening and welcome to Marriage Ministry Minutes. This is Pastor Don Hunter, and you may notice that my wife Denise is not here. She has the night off, but tonight we're just talking about all things marriage, relationships, dating, and love, because on last evening, yesterday, I know you sent some flowers to your boo-boo, to your sweetheart. We celebrated Valentine's Day, and we're just going to talk about it. We'll be right back after this short video. Take care. Well, good evening again. Thank you for joining Marriage Ministry Minutes. My name is Pastor Don Hunter of Abba's House, Dallas. And you might notice that my wife, Denise, is not here tonight. She has the night off, but it's just me having an opportunity to share with you some things that I've learned throughout our marriage. Denise and I, on April the 13th of 2020, will celebrate 20 years of marriage. And I know, if I don't know anything else, I know that God brought us together as just the circumstances surrounding us actually getting together, and how God used a mutual friend of ours, Pastor Raymond Nelson in Washington, D.C., to bring us together. It was only by God's grace. And you got to know, singles, that God brings you together for a purpose. He doesn't just want people to be married just to be married, but he brings married couples together for a purpose. And we know, Denise and I know, that we were brought together for a purpose. So I just want to share with you 5 things that I've learned over 20 years of marriage. Hadn't always been easy, hadn't always been pretty, hadn't always been great, but man, I tell you, I would not trade the experiences that I've gained that allowed me to grow as a human being and to grow to love God and love my wife. I wouldn't trade those for the world. So here's the 5 things. The first thing is this, my brothers and my sisters. I really do have to listen to her. I really do have to listen to her. My wife chides me all the time about active listening. And it's interesting because I practice active listening at work. I have a staff of about 11 people that I lead. And when we are having meetings, I am supposed to be fully engaged in those conversations. But a lot of times when I'm with my wife, sometimes I'm multitasking and she makes me, or she challenges me to put down everything to make sure that she has my undivided attention, and she has every right to do that because the things that we talk about as a married couple are important, and if for no other reason than the fact that it's important to her, it should be important to me as well. But not only do I have to listen to her, I should, or have learned to over the years, to know that God has really blessed her with wisdom that can help not only me, but our family. Oftentimes in our world, in our society, I know we as men want to be the decision makers, the breadwinners, and everything else. But God has uniquely given women some gifts, some skills, some abilities, some anointing to bless the family and households, and to be able to see some things that sometimes we might not be able to see as men. God says that really clearly in the Bible when Adam and Eve were brought together in Genesis, where Adam has a rib taken from him, and that rib was protecting vital organs. That rib was taken from man to make woman, and God just didn't do that just to be cute. He did it for a reason, in order for man and woman to be connected together as one, but also to let men, right? And I've learned this, to let men know that if your wife really loves you and is really truly there for you and brought to you by God, she's there to protect not only her interest, but your interest as well. So men, the thing that I have learned over the last 20 years is I really do have to listen to her, actively listen to her, but also listen to what she has to say, because it's in my best interest to do that. Here's the second thing that I've learned. The second thing that I've learned, that if you're always right, you're wrong. That if you're always right, you're wrong. Wow. Now, I don't know about you. I love to be right. I don't like to be wrong. I like my opinion to count over everybody. That's just the way that I'm wired, because I always think that I'm right. And that's dangerous and arrogant and prideful. And I've learned, just in my marriage to Denise and our relationship, that she's right too, right? And sometimes she's wrong. But it's not my responsibility to throw that up into her face. And sometimes, guess what? I like to throw that up into her face and let her know, like, you just as wrong as two left foot. But that's not the purpose. That's not going to be helpful. That's not healthy for relationships. So, because if you're always right, or you always think that you're right, you'll be wrong. There needs to be a coming together, an agreement to discuss mutually with respect and love and accountability as well, to let the other person know, like, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily agree with you on that one. It is not right. Or it could be something related to money or what have you. But as couples, as married people, we need to know that if we are always right, then we could really truly be wrong, and that can hurt the relationship. We need to, again, as I said before, and I'm learning this, my brothers and my sisters, I am truly learning this, that I have to truly be willing to be humble enough to listen and to know that my opinion is not the only one that counts. If I'm always right, I'm wrong. First thing that we talked about real quick is that I really do have to listen to her. The second thing that we talked about is that if we're always right, we're wrong. Here's the third thing. The third thing is this. You better really like the person that you're married to. You better really like the person that you're married to. I've been blessed because Denise and I, we joke a lot. We laugh a lot. There are times when we have serious discussions. There's times when she don't want to talk to me. There's times I don't want to talk to her. But the one thing that's really helpful for us is that we actually like one another. There's not a disdain or dislike for one another. Love needs to be there, of course, but you really gotta like the other person. Why do I say that? The reason why I say that is because there are peaks and valleys in relationships, peaks and valleys in sexual fulfillment, peaks and valleys where people's physical appearance doesn't look the way that it used to look. You're not as put together as well as you used to, and then you may not be as attracted to the person as you used to. But ultimately, again, with those peaks and those valleys, the love that should be there, but the like should be there as well. You should like to be around the other person. I've learned that I really like to be around Denise. I'm a introverted person by nature. And I didn't really realize that because that came out a lot more in the pandemic. But I realized it's like, wow, I'm really introverted. So I'm used to spending time by myself. But I really do like spending time with my wife when we genuinely spend time together and have fun with one another and crack jokes on one another, whether it be the fact that my hands are ashy all the time, or we joke about each other's breasts being funky. We just, we just like to laugh and joke at one another. But that's really helped our relationship because we like to be around each other. And I pray that that never ends, that I really truly continue to like to be around my wife, because that's been a blessing to our relationship. All right. The fourth thing is this. Fourth thing I've learned over this last 20 years is this, that love truly is patient. Love truly is patient. The Apostle Paul talks about love being patient in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And he said it in the context of Jesus's patience towards us. But the same patience that Jesus has towards us, we need to have that same patience towards other people. And I've really, truly learned that in marriage, being patient. One of the things I do as a pastor, or I have done a ton as a pastor in the past, is counsel people who are about to get married and counsel married people. And one of the things I asked them is like, man, why do you really want to get married? Like, why? And the thing is, like, I was like, I love them. It really, truly, until you actually get into a marriage and are actually living in that marriage on a daily basis with a person, we don't really, truly know what love really is. I know the Bible gives us a description of what love is. And it tells, as I said before, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and the Apostle Paul talks about husbands loving your wives as Christ loved the church in Ephesians chapter 5. But until you really get into it, you really get to understand that love truly is patience. And I've developed patience. And I know, Lord knows that Denise has developed patience with me and loving me, because she told me. She tell me I'm a mess all the time. Like, man, am I that much of a mess? She tells me. But anyway, she tells me I'm a mess, and I tell her she's a mess too, but together we are a mess together. But love truly is patience. Just having patience with one another, showing care towards one another, showing concern with one another, and always doesn't show up the way that it should. And if it doesn't show up the way that it should, if we're not giving the person what they need in terms of that love, being patient, we ought to be open enough to be able to share that. And Denise doesn't have a problem sharing that with me, and I don't have a problem sharing that with her. She'd tell me about myself. Love truly is patient. When the other person has some quirks, and I know I have quirks. Lord knows I have quirks as it relates to things being a certain way. I have quirks that I know Denise doesn't like, and she's got some quirks, Lord Jesus, that I know I don't like, that they may seem like small things, but if I allow them to add up and become big, they can become a big deal. But again, that's why we say love is patient. Guys, the first thing that we talked about is this. We talked about the fact that I really do have to listen to her. We talked about, secondly, that I truly have to know that if I'm always right, then I'm wrong. Third thing I talked about is this, is that you better really like that person, right? The fourth thing that I talked about was love truly is patient. And the last thing I want to talk about briefly is Jesus makes the difference. Jesus Christ makes the difference. Let me tell you, had it not been for Jesus Christ, I know I would not be married. I can say this honestly. I didn't, before I actually got married, before I met Denise, I did not see myself as actually getting married. I thought I was just going to be single for the rest of my life before I met Denise. I didn't know that. But I know, again, that the Lord brought us together, and it is Him who has kept us together. Why? Because without His love and compassion that He has given us towards Him first and foremost, and towards one another, we would be divorced. Absolutely, we would be, because there are pressures that happen in the world and on us that make you, when you see something that you don't like in the other person, makes you not like that other person or move away. But because of the love of Jesus Christ that He has given us for Him first and foremost, and then for one another, it helps us to be connected, to stay together, to love one another, to like one another, to listen to one another. Let me tell you this. You talk about the purposes of marriage. One of the greatest purposes of marriage is to proclaim Jesus Christ as Lord of your life. Not to say that loving each other isn't the most important, is not important, but truly loving Jesus Christ first and foremost is the most important thing. And once you truly love Jesus, He can send you that right person that can truly help you to love Him and love one another even more. Because without Christ, we truly can't truly love one another in the first place. I hope this helps somebody. I don't know. I hope it does. It's blessed me. I pray that you be encouraged, and we will see you next time. God bless you on behalf of Abba's House Dallas. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Just saw a movie and it made me think my life ain't Hollywood. Love don't come that easily. And when I try so hard and just can't get it right, it still amazes me you love to be here by my side.
'Cause every day we get down on our knees, asking God to help us be who we need to be.
Yeah, yeah.
We're far from perfect, but I trust and believe you and me can grow a heart that we truly say,
I do this for you. I do this for love. I do this for the life we've been dreaming of. I give you my word, attached with my heart, and nothing in this world could ever tear us apart.
I do this for you. I do this for you. Oh, I do this for you. I do this for you. Yeah, I used to dream about calling